All right, guys, thanks so much for joining us. This is part of Will Witt Live, where we do an interview segment on the show. Today, we have some great people from The Bachelor. We have Jillian Anderson, Garrett Brown, and Jordan Kimball all here today who were on The Bachelor and are going to be kind of talking about the cancel culture within the show, the culture of the show in general. You know, as we've seen just this last season, The Bachelor got totally tied up with race and people being canceled, and it's been kind of a crap show, a lot of the whole thing. So before we start that, let's just go around, do a little introduction of everyone. We also have Sabrina here. You guys know Sabrina, director of Prager Force, and knows way more about reality TV and The Bachelor than me. And then we have Taylor. You guys know Taylor, nothing special. And then we'll go around and have them all introduce themselves. Starting with Jordan.
Hey guys, I'm Jordan Kimball. I was on Becca's season 14 of The Bachelorette, and both of the most recent seasons of Bachelor in Paradise.
Awesome. Garrett?
Hey guys, my name is Garrett Powell. I was on Hannah Brown's season, which is season 15, aired in 2019, and happy to be here.
Cool. And Jillian?
You guys are making me feel old. My name is Jillian Anderson. I'm from Crystal, season 19 of The Bachelor and Bachelor in Paradise 2.
Cool. So I want to open it up to start. Let's talk about the Chris Harrison firing. And what are your guys' thoughts on that? You know, I'm sure a lot of you guys would have a relationship with Chris, you know, being on the show before. What did you think about him? And do you think that this guy deserves to be canceled?
So I think if I can take off with this. So, you know, I came out on Twitter just about 2 weeks ago in defense of Chris. That tweet very quickly became an Us Weekly article where some recent contestants were disclosing that they felt very uncomfortable in Chris's presence, where I've been with the franchise for 3 years now, and I've never heard anyone of any color or gender or nationality or religion ever disclose, ever, whether in private or publicly, that Chris Harrison did anything to make them feel uncomfortable. Chris is in the presence of people on set very, very briefly, and anything behind the scenes is truly like, it's a pleasure. He cracks jokes. He's a joy to be around. I've even had the opportunity of meeting some of his kids. I mean, all in all American guy, very nice, true company guy. You know, he carries in his suitcase with him, you know, all of the things that you'd want to see in the host of a show representing diversity and all these other different types of people. And to my knowledge, he's always been, you know, very nice, very upfront, very honest, and you know, he's been a good guy. So I don't know, Jillian, Garrett, I don't know what your experiences are, but I can speak for mine and the people around me from the time I was on. I've never heard of anyone disclosing that they've had an issue with him.
Yeah, I mean, so my experience personally is that as much as we traveled, a lot of viewers don't know, you do get to spend time with him off camera and like off script, so to say, when you're traveling, because cameras aren't on, you get to talk to him. He was always a very genuine guy, made sure everyone feel at home. And that's the thing too. And I mean, Jillian, Jordan, y'all know this, that when I guess some kind of issue pops up, a lot of people in the reality TV world like to hop on that issue to stay relevant. And I think that's
Correct.
All that's going on here is that someone said one thing about what Chris said and everyone just hops on him and like buries him when we just disregard everything that he's done in the past. It's so good. Oh, and by the way, what he said was, hey, let's just give this woman a chance to speak, you know? And why is that such a bad thing? I mean, that's my viewpoint on it. He's always been a very genuine guy, very nice guy. And it's, don't understand it.
And Garrett, you're absolutely right. He even said, I'm not defending her. I just like give her some time. She's going to come out with a statement, and she's under contract with ABC. You guys know how it is. When you're under contract, they try to delay these statements that you're putting out, you know,
as long as possible. Yeah, it's ridiculous.
It just seemed largely ridiculous to me because he was pointing out how ridiculous cancel culture was and did not defend her at all. But I was glad for the things that he did say. You know, we should show her grace. We should hear her point of view. Let's not jump to conclusions. You know, the worst thing about cancel culture is you're implying intent on someone you don't know and destroying her life. And you guys, like Jordan and Garrett, you understand. And I've noticed throughout the years, like guys kind of get a different feedback than girls get when they're on the show. But you really you still understand to a limit, like how much, we get hit by the media and how much we get hit in our personal lives.
Yeah.
And
Oh man.
and it's almost like America lines us all up and they just start taking shots at us one by one. And because of our contracts, we can't defend ourselves a lot of times, and we can't defend our new friends either. So to see a girl just kind of like hung out to dry, it maybe hurt for her. Well, I don't care what the intention was. I don't think most people watching reality TV really understand when you're on a huge network, cable channel reality show, how much people are getting into your lives and getting into your head. And I still have a lot of friends who didn't go what she went through, the intensity level of demeaning her character, and they're still in therapy. And it's been 5 years for me.
And it's even the cancel culture, with the thing about it is that you never really get a chance to like defend yourself, like you said, because once the attacks come and you start to get canceled, it's like, it's already too late. I mean, the people who see that there's a news article, they're not waiting around to hear your side of the story. They're just going to cancel you already and think that you're a horrible, terrible person. And the things that like this girl got canceled for on the show, I mean, what ridiculous things, like wearing a colonial dress or like liking a picture of someone dressing up as a Native American. Like, it's absolutely ridiculous what they actually want to cancel these people for. It's things that are not even that offensive at all. What do you guys think about the things that she was canceled for and the whole situation?
I mean, I've also dressed up as a Native American for Halloween.
Oh, I have.
I mean, it's another thing she got canceled for. I don't know. Cancel me. I mean, I don't, it's weird, whatever. And I think that, I don't know what she was thinking the day she dressed up, but I just strongly doubt that she was thinking about what this party stood for. I bet she was thinking about her dress and how her makeup looked and her date that day. Possibly she was having a drink, something that normal college kids think about.
I'm going to be honest with you. So I went to college and did all that. I'm from a very southern town on the Gulf Coast of Florida, just north of Tampa. That's where I grew up and went to high school. I have never, ever dressed up as a colonial person or a Confederate or anything. There is a hotel in Crystal River called The Plantation, and there were some school functions held there and everything, but it was a hotel with great customer service and everything. I've never ever taken an institution and charged it racially. I've never taken a costume and charged it racially. They're saying now that when you do these things, you're complicit to racism. But if there are literally no acts of racism, I don't see that quite as being complicit to racism. I think it actually takes away from claims from people that have actually experienced someone of the other race coming at them. You know what I mean?
The wrong people are making headlines, because you're exactly right.
Correct.
There's no acts of racism, and we never got to hear her intent at all.
Right.
And America and the public and the media and Rachel Lindsay, they didn't care to hear her side of the story. They didn't care.
Right.
I mean, that's what cancel culture is. It was a little creativity. Anything can be racist.
Hold on, I kind of want to chime in really quickly on the Rachel Lindsay part of this. Do you think that if Chris had gone on to a different interview, not with Rachel Lindsay, it would have had the same cancel culture effect? Because I mean, at this point, she's become this woke queen that is just out to get everyone. Sorry, Garrett.
No.
Yeah, no, it's okay. I mean, so my whole issue started with Rachel Lindsay when she was saying how, I'll just say her disrespect towards the other Garrett that was at the time, I guess the fiance of Becca. And I spoke out because I'm like, listen, okay, so let's look at this from just a human perspective. So Becca is one of your best friends who is engaged to this person. Becca is obviously influenced by something that you say and what you think. And so when she outwardly, she didn't have to say that. She could have supported her best friend. And I think it was a very selfish move in a media seeking move to just bash the guy that you don't even know, who your best friend is engaged to. And I think, again, just her goal is it's just to stir things up. And especially it's not about giving people a chance to speak. It's not about giving people the chance to defend themselves. Not that they even need to. It's just, hey, this person's bad. Y'all should hate on. And it's just ridiculous.
It's crazy that we're at a place in society where a group of folks can assume the worst of the entire world and say that we were born racist. You can't tell me how I was raised. You can't tell me what my views are. You can't tell me because of the color of my skin that I am anti the color of someone else's skin. It's really a sad part of society's standing right now.
Rachel Lindsay had a lot to do with it. I think she's been on this push of division with all the things that she stands for. And she absolutely, I think she was waiting for an opportunity to kind of take this out. She got a really good opportunity herself as a bachelorette. And now I think the show is really trying to overcorrect the mistakes with the recent choices they've made.
Yeah, of course they are. And it's like, again, going back to the other Garrett situation. So she sent me a DM and she was like, you know how many people wanted me to come after you, and I chose not to come after you. Like, she's this great person. It's like this has nothing to this has nothing to do with.
Sent you that?
Yeah. I'm like, this has nothing to do with me and you. This has something to do with supporting your friend and attacking a dude that you don't even know. Like, what? Quit trying to make this about something that it's not. And that just, I think that just shows the true colors of someone like that. Is that I just think it's a self-centered move, and it's again part of the unfortunate reality TV culture of, okay, let's see how many fans I can get. Let's see how many likes I get. This is the popular subject. Okay, well, let's just speak on it just because it's relevant at the time. Maybe they'll make me bigger. And I think that's the ultimate, that's the ultimate motivation behind it, unfortunately. And there's no reason to do that,
Well,
that's how it seemed.
It's so unfortunate that she thinks, or anyone thinks, this entire country thinks, that we are too unstable as individuals or as a country to have a conversation about anything. And instead of like having a conversation, people would rather not speak, or people would rather bash you and not hear what you have to say, because they think that any conversations might lead to death and destruction or anything. So I'll say what I want to say. You don't get to talk, or you're just too scared to speak up on the other end. And that's really gross, and that's really unhealthy.
Well, it's funny.
Yeah, that's exactly what go ahead.
The canceling is going to change because there's going to be a reform. A lot of people don't want to speak out. I was one of them months ago. I did speak out very briefly on a story set whenever everything was happening last summer, and a lot of people had my back. And Garrett, I was really proud of you. I really, honestly, man, good on you for coming out vocally when you did. I did not come out as vocally in a post. I came out in a story saying, hey, like, being transparent with color is enough. This new anti-racist movement is not, that's going to equal segregation, which is only going to, do you know what comes out of segregation? Racist acts. That's what comes out of segregation. So if I'm going to sit here and be anti-racist, you can't call me a racist because of the color of my skin. So, I mean, and even with Chris, he committed to doing the work, which my grandpa always considered the work raking leaves. This is the first time I'm hearing of the work as like something you might be learning from Taylor Nolan, who is now probably going to be investigated by the state that she's licensed in for therapy and psychology, who is also another person that came after me on Twitter. But this whole thing, Garrett Y came out with the Blue Lives Matter, and I didn't. And then I started to get attacked. And I just said, I'm just gonna step right in. Join Turning Point. I'm a part of Prager Force now. This is a long, long haul. And the youth that are in these universities, they're more worried about whatever's happening socially than they are what's happening on their own future. And it's really sad where we're at. I mean,
it's cool that, that you spoke out and that a lot of people are speaking out and saying they're conservative, because look what happens when you apologize. I mean, you got Matt James, the guy who's the Bachelor this year, and then Rachel, and they have that whole conversation. And, he's like asking her basically to not necessarily atone for her sins, but like, if you acknowledged all these different things, and it's like she's apologized and bended over backwards for the left and all these people. And what has she gotten out of it? They're no longer together. I mean, everyone thinks that she's kind of a loser at this point. It's like, but people who actually come out and say, oh, I'm a conservative, I really believe this. Like, it seems like you're going to lose a lot and it's really hard. I mean, I know you guys have lost sponsors and things like that, but when you actually do speak out, you do gain so much more. And so speak on that a little bit for you guys on just kind of the reception, because I think a lot of people who watch my show, especially younger people, are really scared themselves to even speak out because of what might happen to them.
Yeah, I'll start on this one. So I came out pretty early because I was just fed up with it. I was fed up with getting called a racist for believing in a certain candidate last year. And I tell you, man, out of 100 DMs, maybe 98 were like, thank you so much for saying this. I respect you for doing this. I'm terrified of speaking my mind because I work for X company, or because my friends believe in X, or like, oh, hey, well, I'm alone in my friend group. I believe in the same thing, but I'm just so afraid to speak up. And that's when it really hit me. It's like, okay, I'm at the point right now where, like, if I don't speak up and, Jillian and Jordan doesn't speak up, who else is going to, especially from let's face it, reality TV in general, social media in general, the Bachelor Nation in general is they're all far left leaning organizations. And so I think for us to speak out on it, it does show people, hey, like, you shouldn't be scared. You're not a racist just because you believe in something. And that's, that was something that happened to me too, where when I first spoke out about it, I was so unprepared for the response. I questioned myself and I questioned my own beliefs. And I was like, wow, like, am I a bad person because I believe this? But what it helped me with personally was I did more research on what I believed. I became more confident in what I believe. And I came out on the backside way more confident than I came in on my beliefs, and that, yeah, they are okay. And that's what I believe in. And it's okay to speak on it. And I think it shows young people everywhere, just by us three to begin with, that, yeah, you should believe in this, and it's okay to believe in this. It's okay to speak out on it.
And I mean, I had a little different. Oh, sorry, what?
No, I was going to actually say, Jillian, I want to hear your story about this, because you're someone that never really had the opportunity to even get canceled since you were in conservative media before.
Yeah. So my background is professionally has been in conservative media, and I've been doing that since before The Bachelor. So that's actually part of the reason that I suspect they chose me. My character was probably going to be different leading into The Bachelor than when we got there. I think it kind of changed because my contestant knew a lot of conservative people that I knew, that I was working with. And, so when I stepped out of The Bachelor, people were like, oh my gosh, why is this Bachelor contestant at the White House Correspondents' Dinner? Why is she tweeting about the State of the Union? But they didn't realize that I already had a professional job. I had worked in conservative media. And, most recently, just like Garrett, Jordan, like, you're part of Turning Point. I've been working with Charlie Kirk and those guys for a while. I work with a lot of conservative media. I worked in the president's campaign in 2020. So I was very involved, and a lot of what I do is I help represent a lot of the surrogates and stuff. And so I just have been involved, and I have always been a little bit outspoken, but I think it did, it catches people off guard when I started to be a little bit more vocal about it. When this campaign ramped up, I started being a lot more vocal about, my personal opinions on Instagram and stuff, things I didn't normally do. I didn't hide it, but I didn't fully promote it. And then what I did, not that I have the follower amount that you guys have, but I just started, people were getting confused. Wait, why do I follow you? Who are you? What are you doing? Ooh, why? Ew, gross. And they started getting mad at me. And so I started talking to other like conservative influencers, and they're like, we don't get that kind of hate. I go, because you built your following from conservatives. I go, I put my following from an ABC show. I go, so I get so much hate. They're like so confused. Why is she talking about this? But they all really are. And I just, I think the goal is to never kneel. I think what Chris Harrison did, kneeling, felt probably to him it's the right thing to do. I think it was wrong. And I think, it's going to take a lot of people to be bold in their faith and to speak for truth in order to move forward and to educate young people. And some people do say, oh, I'm scared too. I get a lot of, I'm scared. I think we really are the silent majority, regardless of what the last 2020 election said.
I think, Jillian, picking up off of where you just left off, Chris did kneel in the Strahan interview. And now I think that he was probably promised that they were going to allow him to come back. I'm not going to say, I say promised loosely. I'm not saying it was written, but it could have been an oral agreement or something. And he didn't come back. And now they've got, Caitlin Bristow and Tayshia coming on, which seems like they're just like splitting the house and trying to make everyone happy. Very uncomfortable with that. But, and now he's lawyered up. He's got a power lawyer from LA. Will, I want to talk to you about something. I'm going to get more into the influencing side here, not necessarily with The Bachelor. So I understood that you were in California where you're at, and you went and spoke on political affiliation discrimination, correct?
He's going to in April.
He's going to, yeah.
Excellent. Okay, so let me tell you about my experience. I'm someone that has commercially partnered with more brands than like the top 1% of this country, okay? There's not a lot of people that have worked with the brands I've worked with, liberal and conservative. I come out as a conservative. I lost about 4,000 followers, okay? I'm at like 442 now. That was my canceling. People said to me, you know what? I like your attitude daily, and you're so upbeat. I'm going to continue to follow you. And I think that that's so important when you're inserting your politics into things. Also insert your character. That way they know where you're coming from and see that it's coming from the heart. And conservatism really matters to me. And I was willing, I lost sponsorships, but guess what? They still had to compensate me because I didn't do anything legally wrong. And now I've got the ability to hold the people that did this to me liable. I can personally go and say, hey, you did this. first off, you did this off a claim that is totally baseless because it's not defamation. It's not defamation. When you're losing income and you're an independent contractor, I can actually seek a lawsuit from you for smearing my name. I can do that. I can take it to civil court and litigate that. These people have to realize they're hurting companies that still have to compensate people, and now they're not getting my service to promote their product. So the whole thing is just undoing from the company side and the influencer side. For what? Because that person woke up and had a sour state of mind. It's just so ridiculous that a baseless claim from one or two folks from a troll account on social media can take away from your reputation that you've had. I've had my reputation with commercial partnerships for years now. Look at Chris, 20 years of being a host. One thing happened. One thing. Rachel goes on her podcast, influences the people that follow her to be upset with him, and then she wants people to denounce the hate towards her. You don't get to breed it and then get to totally just not have to deal with it. That's not right. And her deleting her Instagram or deactivating it for the time that it was, I came out pretty soft on that. I didn't want to knock her for it, but it was an absolute dramatized feature in what she's doing. Her movement is about segregating. It's about making her life matter more than anyone else's life. And I've met Rachel several times. Her and I were good friends before all this. Her life doesn't matter more than anybody else's life. And that's how I feel about it. That's a statement from me that I sponsor. You can dash Jordan Kimball underneath that, okay?
And Taylor, today, this morning, you sent me, I think it was in the fun chat, about how Michael Knowles, and it was some guy with 3 followers came on and said this is disrespectful or something like that. And then
there's Harry's Razors. Yeah, they called him. They said they DM'd Harry's Razors or publicly called them out on social media for sponsoring Michael Knowles' show because he said something quote unquote transphobic. And then they withdrew their sponsorship because of this complaint from a guy with 3 followers, an anonymous troll account on Twitter.
They can take you down so easily like that.
You know if they compensated him?
Scared to be taken down like people are. I remember one of my biggest clients that I work with is a victim of cancel culture, and he lost his whole company over it. And the thing was, he didn't even do anything wrong. Now we have this, people had leaked a story about him, and that's all it took was one bad headline by Forbes, and he loses his company. It just was a snowball effect. And so real issues of racism aren't even being looked into because we're looking at the headlines and the wrong things and the wrong people without actually doing any investigative work, any background, or looking at their opinion or what may have actually happened. The headline hits first. We're all clickbaiters out there, and they're just looking to get the most response out of the biggest headline, regardless of who it hurts and whether it's actually true or not.
Yeah.
Go ahead, Garrett.
I'll say from my perspective too, after all this too, is that I lost brand deals too. And, but I'll say a good thing that's come out of it is that certain brands that are conservative viewing and are not afraid to bow down will reach out. And I'll say again, from a positive perspective, that I'd argue, and y'all too comment too, if you feel the same way or differently, I actually have a stronger relationship with those brands, a more personal relationship with those brands, because we share that kind of common theme of reaching out and speaking out on our beliefs. And I share a better relationship with those brands than I did with the brands prior. And that obviously there's a lot of bad that's going on, but I'll be positive and say that's something good that's happened. A brand that I work with, Mountain Ops, is a brand that, they strongly believe one way, and I've gotten to know everyone with that brand, and it's been a strong relationship. And so, yeah, there has been a lot of bad with this cancel culture that's come out, but I believe there's a lot of people that have, stood tall and that have backed people up based on their beliefs, which I respect.
See, that's like the Goya beans, man. It's like the Goya beans, where as soon as they start canceling them, and then the guy comes out and says he supports the president, and they think that we're gonna destroy Goya beans now. And then it's tons of people all over went and bought Goya beans, tons of Hispanics too. Sabrina's Cuban. She bought.
I love their plantains. I bought a ton of plantains that day. I went to Publix. We all
bought Goya. We all bought Goya. I mean, same with Mike Lindell. Same thing.
And what's crazy? I eat Goya before. I didn't even know it was a brand of beans, basically. And then once it comes out, then I go and buy it because I'm like.
I still didn't eat them. I bought them and they sat in my pantry forever. I never even ate them.
Oh, they're delicious. Yeah. So Jillian, you have a great point with saying that the headlines actually take away from the matter. We've got a movement going right now that's called Stop Asian Hate. There's a hashtag with it and everything. And then you've got these college kids at these universities, I'm not knocking all college kids, but it's predominantly from universities where these petitions are arising from. And they're becoming institutions for the woke is what it is, these universities. And it depends on what region you're in, I guess. But now we've got this Panda Express petition going around where they're saying that it's a racist company and they're hating on Asian entrepreneurs. So I don't understand how we can have a Stop Asian Hate and also have this Panda Express is racist movement going at the same time, because to me, it kind of just undoes the entire, like, how is all of that on one side? How do both of those parties exist in the same political view? I don't know how that exists. You want to stop the hate against a certain type of person, but then you literally want to attack someone that is Asian and has done really well for themselves just because there's a panda as a symbol of their company.
So the cancel culture mob is ultimately going to eat itself. I mean, you brought up earlier Taylor Nolan, so just to fill Will in as the reality TV translator. So Taylor Nolan was this woke Bachelor contestant who basically was literally collecting Venmo payments from people for racial sensitivity training. And then she was like very loud on the Fire Chris bandwagon. And then the next day it came out that she had all these racially insensitive tweets. And the best part of it was that she didn't even take full accountability. She blamed her whiteness because she's half white and said that she centered her whiteness and that's where it came from. I'm just kind of curious your guys' thoughts on that.
Oh, it's like the funniest thing. Oh my God, she's so clever. What a business model. I it's the first time I'm hearing about it. Someone else can speak. I just think this is hilarious.
When she blamed white supremacy, I couldn't believe it. I'm glad I wasn't holding anything of importance because it was going to be shattered. I mean, I couldn't believe it.
I laughed. I mean, it's just, I mean, that's what, to me, that's what the woke culture is, though. It's like, okay, what would everyone want me to say? Bam. Okay, I'm going to say it. It's because I'm half white. And that's what I'm going to blame. Yeah,
I love trans people.
Yeah,
I support gay rights. Yeah, Taylor and I did a skit about that when all the businesses were being boarded up. We went out in front of some businesses and started yelling leftist things so that our business wouldn't get broken.
It was nuts because I'm here in DC to see these the protests that were here. I mean, I could see the smoke from the church from my house, and to see all these businesses that were torn down by these riots also supporting the riots. I go, who do you think you're pandering to? That sign is not going to stop them from breaking in again. I didn't get it.
Target said, hey, we've got insurance money. It's okay. Take the TVs, guys. We got insurance money. So that's what Target said. I don't know.
Let me ask you guys to finish it up today. Would you recommend people who are conservative or have even values that just support freedom and liberty, or maybe different than the leftist views that you find on The Bachelor? Would you advise people who are conservative to go on the show, or at least try to get on the show? Or would you say this is kind of a dying place that we should let fizzle out because it's not something that conservatives should support?
I tell them, go on it. If you're conservative, go on. Don't let that stop you. I mean, you're going to go fight this thing right now for the political, discrimination. Nah, don't let everyone take. If you got a dream to go be on reality TV, or you want to be on The Bachelor, or whatever you want to do, don't let your other people's political views. You don't have to be obedient to people's opinions. So
I've always told people to not go on the show. It had nothing to do with my political beliefs. I just said, oh, that was really tough as a woman, and all my friends, I saw what we went through, and probably just don't do it. But I would never let anything deter me because of my political views, and I wouldn't tell anyone else to stop doing something because of their political views either. So slightly different answer, but I mean, I think that girls just have a very different experience than guys do on the show and kind of afterwards as well.
You're right. They do.
I'd say go on. I mean, if you're part of a band or if you're a conservative, go on and expect the worst because they're going to twist it. Let's just face it. Go on, but the worst thing you can do is bow down afterwards when they do come after you. And go on until all of us start our own conservative Bachelor. How about that?
There you go.
They're going to have a conservative Bachelor, and then they're going to have a Bachelor where the person who's the Bachelor is trans. They were a woman and now they're a man.
I knew you were going to say that.
I watched the first one.
It's going to go all the way through.
Pan-racial,
Cover all bases.
Before we wrap up, I kind of want to leave it, we actually just released a reel kind of criticizing Rachel a little bit on bowing to the woke mob, and same with Chris, but I do feel bad for her, genuinely feel bad for her. And I'm curious, as contestants, do you guys have any advice for her now that, she's off the show, she's been dumped? I mean, I would love we have a great graphic design department here at PragerU, but do you guys have any advice for her?
I mean, my biggest thing, and like I said, I think guys experience the show a little bit differently, but they can definitely relate to us. But when you're on reality TV and it's, such a huge one, you have people pulling at you in every different direction, and you have people commenting on you and commenting on your personality, your looks, your body type. I mean, everything, good, bad, ugly, nasty, and even from your personal life, and then to the public to get just pulled apart, on GMA or People Magazine. That's a lot. And you read it and you see it and you see your celebrity idols that you look up to on Twitter just making fun of you. And it's horrible. And we're all wrestling with all these things of how we should be and how we should act and how we should look. And should I wear my makeup this way or dress this way because everyone's making fun of me? And I can tell you, and they make you feel like a really bad person. And the biggest freedom I got, was when I gave it to God, and he said to me, Mike, your confidence comes through me alone. And if every day I could put my head to sleep or put my head to bed, knowing that he was proud of me, it didn't matter what my mom thought, the people who were writing those magazine articles, people who were on ABC, it didn't matter what anyone thought, because he was proud of me. And that was the only person who I cared about. Because when you're in this situation, you think about what everyone is writing about you, what everyone is saying about you. And it's a lot when you try to pay attention to all of it. But when you pay attention to him and what he thinks of you, nothing else matters. And you can go to sleep at night peacefully.
Amen.
Yeah, it's going through my own mental health battle after the show, after coming out. It's funny how you have to phrase it as coming out as a conservative, but letting it be known that I'm a conservative. My words to her would be, just know that you are enough. You don't need everyone else's affirmations. I went through that too, where I felt like, okay, I need these people to like me. And it's just part of it. It doesn't make you a bad human. It's just part of being under that much pressure by society and by a fan base. I would say that, to Jillian's point, you are enough, because you are enough in your own eyes, whether you realize it or not. You're enough in your family's eyes. You're enough in God's eyes. That's all you need. You don't need anyone else's opinion. And you certainly don't need anyone else telling you that you're a bad person, because you're not.
I think that if I could give her a word of advice, then she probably wouldn't take it. What Jillian said, looking to God, that's called guidance. It's literally the definition of guidance in my book, is taking where I'm going in my life from God. And I think that she's taken a direction from the mob instead. She's come out several times and apologized in many different ways. Matt James broke up with her after defending her and then saying, no, she was wrong. Chris barely stood in the way of Rachel attacking her, because Rachel is on so many different platforms calling her KKK, Rachel Kirkconnell. Her name is so smeared. I'm not even certain she'll be able to get a job after this. My advice to her is to look to God for guidance, not the mob, because they're not going to take care of her. They don't have her back. And she's caved so much that I don't know when it will be that she will see the sunshine again, mentally, because she's in a bad spot.
Yeah, I'll add one more thing onto this. That's okay, Will. Yeah. During mine, I remember being so deep down in it. And when you're deep down in that situation in your own head like that, you think it's never going to end. You think that your life will never get better, and you get the darkest thoughts you'll ever have in your life. The fact is, it will end one day. And the only person that can make that end is you. And again, like we've all been saying, your relationship with God. And so just know that it will end. People think you're bad, even though you're not. It's all going to end one day, and you're going to be fine in the end. So just hang in there.
15 minutes comes as fast as it goes, as long as you get into it.
Yeah, you're right.
And now look at me. No one even knows who I am anymore.
I've seen you on Twitter before.
I am on Twitter. I am known only rarely in the conservative world, not really in the Bachelor world anymore, but I do that strategically. I kind of cut off my life from all Bachelor promos, and I bring it up here and there, but I just started doing all my nerdy stuff in DC again, and life went back to normal for the most part. But here I am getting to meet new Bachelor fam friends, so it's great.
Good. Well, thank you guys. I'm excited to start our own conservative Bachelor. It's going to be awesome. I'll be taking applications now.
Are you the first contestant?
I have a girlfriend, so I can't do it, but
we can rig it so she wins.
Yeah, exactly. That's what conservatives do. Guys, thank you so much for coming on. This has been Jordan Kimball, Garrett Powell, and Jillian Anderson. You guys can follow them on social media, support what they're doing. We really appreciate you guys standing out and being on the show today. Thanks, guys.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
What's up, guys? Thank you so much for watching this video. PragerU is a 501c3 organization. Help us keep our videos free by making a tax-deductible donation today. I'd really appreciate your support.